Well, good morning. July 25th, it's Tuesday. I'm just kind of getting out, getting at it. I was going to fire up that telehandler, but the batteries are dead, so I guess it hasn't been running for a while. I'm not sure if the batteries have gone bad or if there's some sort of a parasitic drain. I'll have to check that out later, although I got the battery charger on it right now. Move this backhoe out of the way because there was a gentleman coming for a couple totes of molasses. We did get our tanks filled up while I was on holidays, so ready for the molasses season. I was checking out our barley fescue mix on our lawn over there. I'm not exactly sure how tall you're supposed to let the barley grow, but I'm pretty sure the idea behind it is the barley grows, creates a lot of roughage, then you mow the barley down and leave it spread out all over, and then that kind of shelters the fescue a little bit because the fescue is going to take longer to grow. And then hopefully, kind of by the end of this summer and early next spring, that fescue is well established and we'll have a nice lawn. We did get quite a bit of rain around here while we were gone. It rained overnight. It rained a bit this morning already. Looks like it's going to rain some more this afternoon. It's a big puddle right there. So I haven't got the mill fired up, and I most likely won't fire it up until probably Thursday, Friday sometime. That's when the weather straightens up. I'm quite surprised though how quick the yard actually dried up. We might actually be starting to win. So we bring, I don't know, anywhere from 2 to 8 loads of gravel in here every year, and we try to get it put out where it needs to be, and it just never stays. As you're driving that, not so much the little tractors, but you're driving the big tractors and the combines and turning around on it, the gravel just crushes away to nothing. That combined with the fact that this was never probably stripped off properly, back 70 years ago when they kind of established this little yard, and then 45 years ago when they built that shed out, and then out front here. No, I don't think anybody ever cleared the ground off properly. So we were even toying with the idea of if that would pay to come in and scrape this off and then re-gravel it, but we seem to be winning at this point. I don't know, because it's been pretty wet around here and it doesn't seem to be sticking to the boots. Obviously it was really wet when he moved that backhoe because you can see the tracks around there, but I think what we're going to do is leave it. We've gone too far now. It's been like 40 years of driving around and putting gravel on here, so at some point something's got to stay. I was out looking at our crops yesterday, made that little video. It was raining, so it wasn't a very good video, but things look okay. They do. The barley heads are really long. I counted 29 seeds in one head. I don't think that's normal for like the Metcalf malt variety. So that would be could be a better yield than we're expecting. I wasn't super impressed with the canola pods on our just canola field. The peas as well. They're a little bit shorter than I would have liked them to be, although they're not a tall variety. And there's not as many peas per pod. Most of them had about 5. In the past, when we've had really, really good yields, you always saw like 8. So there's probably going to be a little bit of a yield impact on the pea and the canola side. The wheat also, the heads weren't as big as I thought they should be, but you can always be surprised too, right? I mean, just walking into the field 20, 30 feet and kind of looking around doesn't really gauge the whole thing. There's going to be spots out in the middle where it's way better, and then there's going to be spots where it's way worse. So that's should be easy enough to understand that until you're done the whole entire field and you have it in the bin, you don't really know what you're going to get. I got rollers for my roller mill. I want to put those in. It's supposed to rain on and off today, so that's a good inside the shop project. And then I want to go and get some stuff in that shed fired up and moved out so I can bring the combines forward, because there shouldn't be a whole bunch of work needs to be done for the combines, but they do need to be serviced. They need to be oil changed, greased. There's one bubble up auger needs to be replaced on the one combine. So hopefully I can get to that today. And then one thing I will have to do too, I think I'm going to disconnect these batteries. I hate 2 battery systems, I really do. So these were combine batteries that we took out of our 9610 last year. The batteries that were in here were mismatched, and I don't think they were good. I think one was dead and one was good. So instead of buying new batteries for this, I took them out of the combine because I would just disconnect them and they would sit in there all winter and probably go dead, because batteries, I don't know, seem to just not be as good a quality as they used to be. There's some machines around here that have like original batteries in them, I'm sure. You know, that brown grain truck being one of them, those batteries could be like 20 years old. And then there's batteries that don't even last 2 years, so I'm not exactly sure what the scoop is there. That's a conspiracy to keep us buying $180 batteries, but anyways, this thing seems to be doing its job, charging it up, so we'll let that go. I need this running so I can load that guy's totes when he comes. We'll go move that backhoe and then we'll do these rollers. These are the rollers I got re-grooved while I was gone on holidays. My neighbor is a machinist and he's got I don't know if it's the proper machine for that, but anyways, he's got a machine that can do it. So Farm King Bueller rollers, I would say the worst designed piece of machinery on this farm. Unbelievably difficult to take apart. It basically has to go right down to this point. So almost every single nut and bolt in the whole entire machine has to come apart to get the rollers out. And you end up with stuff everywhere. The bearings gotta get cut off. So even if your bearings are good, it doesn't matter. You gotta cut them off anyways. Bearings are quite expensive. I'm sure they're over $100 a piece. I broke this pulley. It's over there busted, trying to get it off. I did use a puller and I thought it was coming. And actually what had happened is I had the puller on and a little bit of tension put into the puller. And I walked just over here to get some spray to spray on it. And by the time I got back, the stress that I had put on it the pulley exploded. So out with the Tiger Torch or the Rosebud, I guess, and heated the crap out of them, which I don't really like doing because I think that takes a little bit away from them. But that was the only way to get them off. So I only broke one of 3, and they weren't too bad. I think they were only $70 a piece. So we'd have probably $400 worth of bearings, $70 for that, $1,000 or so to re-groove the rollers. And we'll be back in business. I don't think I need new blocks, although I've had people tell me once you heat them up, they're no good either. I can't really follow that too much, but it's possible. And then the hard part is just going to be remembering how this hodgepodge of everything goes back together, because it's really not a fun time. But I'm going to find some coveralls and I'm going to get after it. Well, I've been struggling away here for probably like 45 minutes, and this is just, some of the garbage in the design. Like, there's these spreaders that are underneath the rollers, so you can't set anything on there. You basically have to assemble the 2 rollers and these plates together somewhere else, and I guess just guess the distance, because there's about an inch slotted hole there, and then try to set it up on here. And now I guess, if everything assembly plants, they probably have overhead cranes, or they probably have 2 people, but like, that's heavy and it's awkward. Then this little hopper part moves independent of this little trailer, so these bolts are not lined up anymore, which got to go through these holes. Like, it's like a real problem. And I know there's, I think those, what are they, Sven or 7 or whatever they are, rollers, where they just, I think the top just opens and then the rollers pop out. It's hinged. And of course, there's whatever science and engineering into that. But this is probably a testament to giving something no thought, like just kind of building something and then shipping it out the door, because there was no thought into replacing the rollers, taking them out and regrooving them. Even changing bearings is a bit of an issue. Also, these pulleys that's the other thing. Can these companies not invest in a 5-gallon bucket of never sees or anti-sees or whatever and put it on some of these shafts? Like, if they would do that, some of this maintenance would be infinitely easier. I don't know why. Like, nothing. In fact, it's the opposite. They'll put the shit on there and then they'll paint it, right? And then the paint adds an extra 1/16 of an inch or whatever. And then so now you got to grind that off to get the stuff off. It's brutal. It's a real problem. Especially with stuff, I mean, that's a little bit older, that roller, so you would think it was, you know, back in the day when things were built decent, but it's just not. Just looking out, enjoying a little bit of rain here. I'm not sure if you can see. It's also been a new addition. The old boy picked that trailer up at the auction sale there. There was an auction sale about, whatever, four miles away. I was on holidays and I was looking through the catalog. I was like, Dad, there's a pretty nice trailer there, actually. You should go check it out. So that is a tilt deck. It's a flat deck, and it also drops down to be a car hauler. So it's quite a versatile trailer. We haven't hooked up to it yet or figured it out. It's just actually another neighbor brought that over for us after the sale and dropped it off here. So I haven't even been over to look at it, but I'm sure it will serve us quite well. I did want to, well, my water trailer, it's over by the house now, but it was kind of the one we used for our sprayer was like a U-built trailer. So it's not very strong. It's only got like, what, 3,500 or 3,000 pound axles. So it's really only good for like 7,000 pounds. And at 8 pounds per gallon, that water tank right full, right, you can imagine the water tank itself is too much for the trailer, let alone the pump, the chem handler, a tote also of chemical or a bunch of boxes or whatever. So we've been pretty hard on that trailer, although we never haul it full of water. We just kind of either leave it in this yard or take it over to the neighbors who I spray for, and then we fill it up when it's there, but it's just too light for that. So this trailer will be better for that. Anyways, let's have a little break. I'm gonna get back at tackling this piece of junk. Well, that was a time lapse of how just miserable this piece of junk is. Stuff like this, you know, got to be in there. And see, that's a slide and it's welded, so it doesn't really even work that way. This one comes out, I guess, but you can't really get in there to tighten anything. So when you think, well, you know what, at least I could leave this on there. No, you can't. You actually have to take the whole entire thing apart. It's a frustrating ordeal. I'm gonna go back out and look at this nice rain for a little while more. So there's one way you can tell just how miserable your day is going to be, and that's when you size something up that you're taking apart and you realize that you're going to need every single wrench that you own, from 1/2 inch all the way up to, what, 1 1/4 inch? Like, unbelievable. And then you're going to need 2 of each because you're going to need a backup. You're also going to need, like, why do they do this? You can really tell things are like blacksmith equipment and there hasn't been a whole bunch of thought into the design when they just use everything. So they got bolts, you know, that need Allen heads. They got kind of stover nuts for these lock nuts. And then they got a bunch of lock washers. And then they got these little guys that are just probably going to break when I take them out or tighten them up. They got every different size bolt and nut that you can imagine. All sorts of like spacers and then bushings. And when they do that, when they don't put any thought into even the simplicity of the components they're going to use, you can really know that somebody just thought this up and they used a bucket of bolts that they had bought from an auction sale. And they're just like, well, when the bolt bin is empty, we'll call it good. That's when we'll have our machine built. And that's what the Farm King folks did for this roller. All right, well, things are progressing along, I guess, as good as they could. I've been at this for a long time. This is brutal. But had the wrong bearings. So my dad had ordered bearings when I was gone. They were 211, needed 210 because they didn't fit in these blocks. Thankfully, they had 4 bearings that fit. So Corey ran off to get them. And then, well, I got them now. So we will get them put in. Hopefully I can get the hopper put on before lunch is ready. It's 2 o'clock, so should be able to. Well, good evening. It's been raining on and off. I got that cursed mill back together, that roller mill. It's parked over there. I also put that disconnect back on this telehandler. It came with one. I took it off and then I put it back on. I did test both batteries. I think one battery is weak, and I'm pretty sure that's what happens when you have 2 batteries on a machine, and when one starts to get weak, it takes away from the other one, and then nothing works. So I'm not a fan of 2 battery systems. And I'd be curious to know, because I know we were out camping once with a couple, and he was some sort of electrical guy. And he was like, oh no, you got to put 2 6 volts and hook them up in series, and then you'll get 12 volts, you'll have way more capacity. And he just carried on with just nonsense. And I don't buy it. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's mathematical formulas and stuff that tell you 2 batteries wired this way is better than 1 battery wired this way or whatever. But those John Deeres have 2 6-volt batteries wired to 12. Total junk. It's unbelievable. But anyways, after I got the roller mill put together, this water pump on this Cockshutt tractor, before I left on holidays, when I was filling my bins, it actually seized up. It's like seized solid. You can't even turn it. So anyways, it's hard to tell why it's seized, but that was our project. After we got the roller mill out of here, we put the Cockshutt in here, and bingo bango. So water pump is out. New water pump is right here. That was another interesting endeavor. This water pump, I think, was like $400 and some at one place in the States. So I ordered it and they shipped it. And halfway through shipping, they decided to ship it back. Because apparently UPS doesn't ship to a post office. They'll only ship to a physical address. Go figure that. Like, you would think a post office would be the go-to place to ship something, but not for UPS. So they shipped it back without even like trying to find a different, because we have a physical address too, obviously. So anyways, that was $400 and some dollars for this, and $170 for shipping. So about $600 or whatever. And the guy phoned me. He's like, "Oh, do you know why this got sent back? We can re-ship it to you for another $178. And I was like, no, just keep it. Just refund me. And I went searching on the internet some more, and I went to this egg kits, and the $200 with $40 shipping. So be mindful of that. We do obviously try to shop local as best we can, but when we phoned around town, nobody would even like had a clue what we were talking about with this old GM engine. And just kind of I don't want to be too critical of people, but the quality of the parts person these days is just like, they don't know, right? I mean, you're like, I need a part for an engine that's 40 years old, and they're just kind of like, stop calling. So we try to shop local as best we can. We got some pretty good contacts with some people at different places, and once we've exhausted those, then you just turn to Google, Amazon, and you can generally find things. And in this case, we found it, and it was quite a bit cheaper. So that is going to be it for me tonight, though. It's like 8 o'clock. I'm getting tired. That mill just about got me, and I knew it was going to be a wreck, but it's a frustrating day when you got to take the rollers out and put them back in. So I did get it done. So tomorrow will be this. It's supposed to rain all day. We got a rainfall warning, actually. So be more in the shop projects tomorrow. As always, thanks for watching. Let me know what your take is on batteries, and we'll see you all on the next one.